Caregiving can sometimes feel like an impossible struggle. Caregivers may be torn between taking care of loved ones and trying to maintain balance in life. The good news is that it doesn't have to be that way. The Caring Generation with host Pamela D Wilson is here to focus on the conversation of caring. You're not alone. In fact, you're in exactly the right place to share stories and learn tips and resources to help you and your loved ones. So now, please welcome the host of The Caring Generation, Pamela D Wilson.
This is Pamela D. Wilson, caregiving expert, speaker, consultant, and guardian of the Caring Generation. The Caring Generation focuses on the conversation of caring, giving us permission to talk about aging, the challenges of caregiving, and everything in between. It's no surprise that needing care or becoming a caregiver changes everything. The Caring Generation is here to guide you along the journey, to let you know that you're not alone. You are in exactly the right place to share stories, learn about caregiving programs and resources to help you and your loved ones plan for what's ahead. Invite your aging parents, spouses, family, and friends to listen to the show. If you have a question or an idea for a future program, share your idea with me by responding to my social media posts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Today we're talking about the long haul of caregiving. Why caregivers, whether you are caring for yourself or someone else, must become mentally sharp when navigating family caregiver battles that can occur with the care receiver, within the family, and the healthcare system. We'll begin talking about what happens when aging parents and spouses get sick. Then, we'll look at typical responses within the family and tips for how to survive over the long haul while managing competing priorities. Let's begin with questions. Remember, there are no silly questions. The questions you don't ask or are afraid to ask are those that can get you into trouble. With any diagnosis, one of the first questions to ask is, why is this happening? The why is important because if you accept the diagnosis at face value, you may be placing your future at risk. Understanding the why gives you a choice to maintain your health or improve. How many of you have seen options for any type of service, maybe a car wash or getting your car serviced, that say, just okay, good, better, or best? Or how many of you have gone to a restaurant and they say, would you like tap water or bottled water? What do you want for your health? Just okay, good, better, or best? This is one of the first questions to ask when navigating family caregiver battles. If you are the person with the health condition, what do you want? If you are caring for an elderly parent or spouse, what do they want? Just okay, good, better, or best? Everyone might say the best without knowing what it takes to get the best. If best means that you give up junk food and exercise for 2 hours every day, are you up for that? If just okay means that the doctor prescribes you a pill, and over time, the health condition you have gets worse and creates more health problems, so you generally don't feel okay all the time, are you okay with that? Then there's somewhere in the middle of good or better. As a person who needs care or the caregiver, you can decide if you're the warrior or the victim. You control or you feel influenced by people or events. So to answer the question of why is this happening, high blood pressure, diabetes, breathing problems, or pain, we have to look at how our actions contribute to the diagnosis and then decide to do battle or give up and say, this is the way it is. We choose to fight or give up every day when we roll out of bed, navigating family caregiver battles. Are we battling with ourselves, other people, or things like health issues? The second battle for navigating family caregiver battles is the idea of refusing help. For example, mom or dad is in the hospital and goes to a nursing home for rehab. Upon returning home, physical therapy is prescribed so that they can continue to get better and physically stronger. But they or you, the caregiver, say, no, we don't need that. We'll be okay. What's the risk of saying yes? Do you want just okay, good, better, or best for yourself or a loved one? Why deny yourself support or assistance? Don't you think you need it? How do you know? Can you describe the short and long-term consequences of saying no? If you can't answer this question, you could be making a mistake for which you can't turn back the clock. Yet research confirms that many patients and caregivers say no. Then the situation gets worse. The individual or the family caregiver feels like they're going it alone. Try to figure out what to do next. And it's as if caregiving is a do-it-yourself job. It can be, if that's the choice you make, navigating family caregiver battles. Warrior or victim? Which will you choose to be? My vote is always for better health and being a warrior. If you are a long-haul caregiver, you probably feel like you're going it alone, especially if your aging parent or spouse didn't realize they had choices for just okay, good, better, or best. The difference is that you do. The time is now to decide. Now, you can't change everything overnight, but you can decide to stop saying, this is the way it is. You can stop refusing help and become the warrior in the inner battle between your ears that only hears, I can't. Yes, you can. Now, to be fair with health concerns, your doctor may not have done you any favors. If they diagnosed you with a condition and wrote a prescription without asking if you had any questions, they didn't do their job. If you didn't ask about options or consequences, you didn't do your job. Navigating family caregiver battles is tough, isn't it? When nobody does their job, when no one takes the time to really care. This is why caregiving becomes a long-haul job when everyone believes this is the way it is. When they fail to ask questions and refuse to ask or accept help. It doesn't have to be that way. I hear that question in your mind. What can we do? What should we do? Start asking those questions every day. What can I do today? What can I do differently or better tomorrow? You've got it. So, to go from just okay to good, to better or best, to win family caregiver battles, you have to be at your best. Start with confirming what you want, if you're caring for yourself, or what the person you're caring for wants. If you're talking to yourself, the only disagreement you're likely to experience is an internal battle of thinking you want one thing and taking actions that say something else. For example, I will get up at 6 a.m. and walk 3 miles before I go to work. Tomorrow morning the alarm goes off, and what do? Jump out of bed or hit the snooze button, saying, I'll do it tomorrow. Make your choice. Just okay, good, better, or best. If you have no expectations for yourself, your life, and your health will just be okay. If, on the other hand, you're caring for someone, they have to answer the question of what they want and choose between victim or warrior or something in the middle. Remember those commercials? Pay me now or pay me later? That's exactly the issue with old age problems. If you don't take care of your health today, you are likely to pay later with more expensive healthcare needs, needing a caregiver, maybe having to leave your home to live in a care community, which some seniors like, or leaving to live in a nursing home, which most elderly and their families dread. Navigating family caregiver battles is complicated, especially if you're trying to convince a parent or a spouse to change habits. It's difficult to predict the future. What life will be like for an elderly parent who has a stroke, a diagnosis of dementia, a heart attack, asthma, or other health conditions. How do you find out? Talk to someone who knows. In my consultations with family caregivers and their aging parent or spouse, many are looking for confirmation of what they believe the problem to be. Next, they're looking for experts with wisdom. I say wisdom and not knowledge because anyone can read a book and learn concepts. Wisdom is gained from having experiences and learning from the experiences by implementing the suggestions. That's the difference between receiving information, understanding the information, asking questions, and using or deciding what to do with the information. How is receiving information different from seeking information? How many of you have family members who constantly tell you what to do when navigating family caregiver battles? That's receiving information. How does that make you feel when your brother, sister, or someone else tells you what to do? Especially if you didn't ask for the information or their opinion. Translate this to attending a doctor's appointment. The doctor gives you information but doesn't make a recommendation. Why? Because you didn't ask. And quite frequently, when the doctor makes recommendations to patients who don't ask, what do you think happens? The patients ignore their advice. No surprise. Unsolicited advice is a dead and wasted breath, wasted energy action. Choose. Will you be the warrior who wants the best and asks for advice, information, or education? Or the victim who says, well, my doctor didn't tell me. How was I supposed to know? You blame other people. You should have told me. Nope, none of that. Navigating family caregiver battles or taking care of yourself requires that you show up 100% of the time. Are you thinking, maybe half the time? I'm exhausted. I am burned out. Or maybe you're looking at mom, dad, or a spouse and noticing that 100% for them is maybe 25% for you. That's okay. Everyone has different energy levels. Being at 100% can relate to energy and also mental commitment. If you're mentally committed, you can increase your energy level for navigating family caregiver battles. As long as you're not in the camp where you believe nothing can be done, anything is possible. The next step in navigating family caregiver battles is to look at your assumptions and the assumptions of others involved. This could be the person you're caring for, siblings, a parent, or people in the healthcare system. Based on more than 20 years of working with caregivers and older adults, my recommendation is to assume nothing. Ask questions and verify all information. Caregivers express frustrations to me about being given poor direction and lousy advice from other people. Looking at this from both sides, I can explain how this happens. If you follow me on social media, you know that I respond to caregiver questions by creating videos for YouTube and Facebook. I create live stream caregiver events about once a month. Caregivers ask me questions, but sometimes they don't provide enough background or information for me to give a specific answer. However, if you and I schedule a 30 or 60-minute phone or video call, I'll have the opportunity to ask enough questions to give you a concrete answer and even next steps if that's what you're seeking. Context or background information allows specificity. It's kind of like calling a doctor's office saying you don't feel well without giving any information. Do you expect the doctor to pull out the crystal ball and guess what's wrong with you? Are you looking for a guess? Or would you rather have a fairly specific answer to address the issue? Sometimes caregivers or patients don't know what information is needed to get to a particular solution. Or family caregivers ask a person who doesn't have deep experience on the topic, and they get a superficial answer that doesn't work. I understand the frustration level that caregivers and elderly adults feel when you seek information, which may be why you simply give up when you can't find what you're looking for, when you think, nothing can be done. Being a warrior instead of a victim takes persistence, more than you might realize. More on navigating family caregiver battles after this break, including tips for long-haul caregivers who want to move from just okay to good to better to best. This is Pamela D Wilson on The Caring Generation. Pay it forward to help others dealing with health, aging, or caregiving issues by sharing information about this show and my website, PamelaDWilson.com. The Caring Generation is available worldwide on your favorite podcast and music apps: Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, JioSaavn, Spreaker, Amazon Music, Breaker, Deezer, Listen Notes, Pandora, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, and Verbal. You don't have to go it alone. Caregiving doesn't have to be a do-it-yourself job. Visit my website to schedule a one-to-one telephone or video consultation with me. Click on How I Help, then Family Caregivers, and then Elder Care Consultation. This is Pamela D. Wilson. Stay with me. I'll be right back. This is Pamela D. Wilson, caregiving expert, author, and speaker on The Caring Generation. If you are a working caregiver and your company does not currently offer caregiver support, resources, or educational programs for caregivers, it's time to ask. Please share this podcast and my website, PamelaDWilson.com, with your human resources department or the company caregiver group. Some companies have them. And ask them to contact me. I provide on-site and virtual programs for corporations and groups interested in supporting employee caregivers. So let's continue with navigating family caregiver battles and succeeding as a long-haul caregiver. Before the break, we talked about the importance of asking questions, not making assumptions, deciding what you want your care situation to look like. Just okay, good, better, or best, and committing 100% physically or mentally. How do you succeed when there are so many competing priorities in life? If you're the caregiver, you may work to support your family. You might have children in school and care for an elderly parent and possibly a spouse. Double duty caregiving. Navigating family caregiving battles often means managing competing priorities. If you're a long-haul caregiver burning the candle at both ends, you may already worry that you're not doing a good job in one or more parts of your life. Maybe you're taking time off work and worrying that your employer will think that you're not committed to your job. I've been there. Some employers don't understand the stresses faced by family caregivers. Maybe you have a high-priority client meeting tomorrow. Mom or dad just went into the hospital, so you know you're not as mentally sharp as you should be. Maybe you lost your patience with your spouse or children because you just got off the phone with your parent who needs help and mom or dad has no idea what your life is truly like. Are you an efficient or an effective caregiver? How do you know? For more on this, listen to the Caring Generation podcast, episode 120, called How Can I Be an Effective Caregiver? You might also like my multimedia caregiver live stream event, What's Your Plan for Aging Parents? When I was managing care for my clients as a power of attorney and care manager, I had days where my staff and I had to triage urgent and important tasks. If you are navigating family caregiver battles, you probably find yourself in a similar position. Here are the steps to take. First, You must find a little quiet time to gather your thoughts and tasks on a piece of paper. Let's define the meaning of urgent. In navigating caregiver battles, the word urgent has different meanings. For example, your mom watching television at 2 a.m. drops the remote control and calls to you over the baby monitor that you have installed in her room. She wants you to come pick up the remote. To your mom, dropping the remote is an emergency. To you, getting a good night's sleep to go to work in the morning is more important. So you can see one person's emergency may not be your emergency. How many of you have heard the saying, "A lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part"? Do you have coworkers who wait until the last minute to complete a project only to run into snags that make it impossible to meet the deadline, and you're the one responsible? Sometimes you might feel as if you have to babysit everyone. As a caregiver, you may create that scenario by being too helpful and desiring to be the go-to person. Another reason why you have too much on your to-do list. Urgent versus important. Mom or dad fall and need to go to the emergency room. What's your vote? That one is urgent. Show up. Are you distracted by social media or email when you're working on your computer? Not urgent. Low priority. Limit your social media time to non-working hours or breaks during the day. Talking to elderly parents about a plan to help them do as much as possible for themselves. What's your vote? This conversation might be urgent if not having this discussion is resulting in trade-offs in other areas of your life. It might be ranked important if mom or dad isn't feeling well today and you have to take them to the doctor to avoid a possible hospitalization. And while cleaning the spoiled food out of your parents' refrigerator or cleaning their bathroom needs to be done, these tasks are a lower priority that could be done by someone else. Navigating family caregiver battles is sometimes about choosing your struggle. Maybe you have siblings who could be helping out, but who refuse. Is spinning your emotions to be angry at a brother or sister a good use of your mental power when you need 100% of you to be the warrior who doesn't give up? Don't waste the brain power being upset. Instead, move ahead on more critical priorities to care for your parents and free up your time. Managing expectations is critical to navigating family caregiver battles. Aging parents or a spouse can expect caregivers to wait on them. If this is you, you know what I mean. Monitor commitments in all areas of your life and stop taking on more than you can manage. Constantly saying yes and doing too much is part of being a caregiver. Learn how to estimate your time accurately so that you stop overcommitting and have a little breathing room in your schedule to take care of yourself. You'll wear out if you don't. Navigating family caregiver battles means learning how to manage your emotions. Long-haul caregiving can wear you down so that you can't give 100%. You may even feel so overwhelmed that you don't have time to think. I recently created 2 videos on this topic. The first is, what is respite care? And the other, why do caregivers need breaks? You can find both of them on my YouTube channel, Pamela D Wilson, Caregiving Expert. I'll also put links to the videos in this show transcript. So on my website, search for episode number 124, Navigating Family Caregiver Battles. And the links are at about 23 minutes into the program or so. Another skill to be learned in addition to setting expectations and boundaries is the skill of negotiation, also known as give and take or reciprocity. While you may want to do it all as a caregiver, it's simply not possible if you're going to maintain your life, sanity, health, and well-being. It's time to call on the warrior in you who says enough is enough. I overextended myself in trying to make everyone happy. Now it's time to step back. It's time to diagnose the program like we talked about at the beginning of the program and ask, how did this happen? Did you say yes too much? Try to make everyone else happy except yourself. Feel obligated to meet the expectations of the person you care for, all the while running your physical and mental health into the ground. Instead, decide what you can continue to do for a spouse or aging parent and investigate outside support for things you can't. If you don't know how to do that, I can help. Start asking questions. Can your spouse or children contribute if you need more help around the house? What unimportant or low priority things can you eliminate from your life to create breathing space, time away from caregiving, so that you can play and enjoy life a little? Make a list of everything you do and rank them in urgency and importance. I don't know how many items on your list, 25, 50, 100. How many items at the bottom of the list do you regularly do that don't contribute anything positive to your life? You do them because you've always done them. Navigating family caregiver battles means being the warrior instead of the victim who says, this is just the way it is. I can't do anything about it. Being a warrior means being the person who accepts help and who always believes there are options, believes that there is hope, because there's always hope and there's always something that can be done. It's up to you to make it happen. If you need a little help getting started, schedule a one-to-one consultation with me. Thank you for following and communicating with me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, where I have hundreds of responses and tips for caregivers about caregiving, aging, health, family relationships, and everything in between. Please share this podcast, The Caring Generation, with everyone you know who is interested in proven, reliable tips, information, resources, and research about caregiving, aging, health, and everything in between. You can also visit my website to visit my caregiving library, my caregiving online courses for caregivers that are a lot like binge watching a Netflix series, my caregiving blog, my book, The Caregiving Trap: Solutions for Life's Unexpected Changes. This is Pamela D Wilson, caregiving expert, advocate, and speaker. I look forward to being with you again soon. God bless you all. Love to everyone. Sleep well tonight. Have a fabulous day tomorrow and a great week until we are here together again.
Tune in each week for The Caring Generation with host Pamela D Wilson. Come join the conversation and see how Pamela can provide solutions and peace of mind for everyone. Here on Pamela D Wilson's The Caring Generation.